Welcome to the Great Satan. I'm joined with my guest, Travis Jackson. I don't really like to do that. Ooh, my man's walking around, showing off the closet. It's a lovely Wednesday afternoon here in glorious Montgomery, Alabama. What have you been up to? I don't really scroll the music down or anything. I don't like pull it down because I don't have faders, a big board or anything. I just hit that space bar and pause it up. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah, man. What have you been up to today?
Well, just trying to take it one day at a time, man. Sometimes it's 1 minute, sometimes it's 1 second at a time. Woke up this morning, had a couple, did a couple things such as shopping, checked the mail, and been cleaning up, quarantining around my home. So
Nice. Good to hear it. Yeah, man. You've been pretty. I wouldn't say like active, like you're not like running around going crazy out there, but you've been moving around in public, making moves. Like you go, a lot of people their quarantine is like 100% in the house. You're out there with the mask on.
yeah, I think it's very important, especially during this time. I always say it's during tragedy you find out who's who. And that includes your friends, that includes your family, that includes your connections. And so the first 2 weeks were hell for me because I know it was just a lot going on. But then I was encouraged to a lot of people that it's very important that you get your sunshine or sunlight. You don't have to be out there for 6 or 7 hours, but if you go out there for at least 2 or 3 hours, then you're fine.
Right.
I think it's very important to have that vitamin D, and I've gotten plenty of it within the last last few weeks, if you can say.
Absolutely. So they've been doing like, I think we're to what, 2 or 3 reopen protest events so far in Montgomery. Have you've done both?
Yeah, I think it's either 2 or 3 because I remember the first one that they did. It was sometime around April 24th. It was a Tuesday,
Right.
and I remember when they even brought horses to the state capitol. I'm like, this is not a farm. Even though this is the state of Alabama and Alabama's agricultural status is very good,
Right.
this is not the farm. This is downtown Montgomery. Why are you bringing horses down here? And so when I saw that photo in the newspaper, I was encouraged by very few people to just go down there and counter protest. And at first I was like, hell no, a black man going down there? I'm like, hell to the no. But then all of a sudden I kept reminding myself, you are an Iraq veteran. You've seen worse. You have marched with social justice advocates from across the state in pride events, women empowerment rallies and stuff. You could do this. Mm-hmm. So that one Saturday that I went down there to counter protest their second rally, it just opened my eyes to what really was going on. And I give respect, I usually don't do this, but I give props to Montgomery Police Department because they did a good job keeping them back. 2 of their activists almost got arrested because they wanted to get into the face of the police. And the police says, no, we're not having that. You back away and we will put you in jail.
That's
and
wild.
So they put them across the street. And when they put them across the street, that's when I stepped in. I pretended to be a normal visitor, taking pictures early that morning. So they were like, okay, whatever. But then one of my friends, he said, why don't you go get your signs? And so I did get my signs. And when I held the signs up, that's when they start shouting obscenities at me, right, telling me that what would, Rosa Parks think about this and Malcolm X, the race baiting, game.
Right.
And, I did get interviewed. I got news interviewed, which was awesome. And I had other people that were on my side of the street ask me for the signs. And, we just looked at them and many people were going live like, wow, this is real. But one thing that I noticed when I looked across the street, not one speck of person of color, Not
Oh
even
yeah.
one biracial person, was over there. It was just all white. So I see it as not a reopen Alabama rally. I see it as an all lives or white lives matter rally.
Right. Like, or like a go back and do your job type of,
Yes, exactly.
you know, and the horse you were mentioning, they had horses, and that struck me. There was somebody with a take that was really illuminating about the dudes with the assault rifles, right? Where it was like their take wasn't, hey, you could get away with this and the cops won't fuck with you if you're armed. It was, this is a display of wealth. They're showing off their $5,000 gun, and they're saying, look, we can just do this to cosplay. This isn't real at all to us. Get back in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, they're telling
Yeah.
the poor to shut up and quit valuing your life, over our profit. And the horse does that same thing in Alabama, right? It says, I have land for this horse. I have means to keep this horse alive,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen any horse processing plants getting shut down because of the coronavirus. So they're not scared of us eating horses. So
Yeah. And it's not just me being the person out there. I know, and I applaud, and I appreciate your recognition towards my activism. Over, I think it was this past weekend, there were like 5 people that actually protested at the governor's mansion,
right,
which I thought was beautiful. Now that's bravery right there, because the cops are around that area.
big time.
So they protested there. Basically, they were just protesting the same thing like I'm protesting. Like, if you're going to open up this economy, we need adequate health care and we need effective virus protective gear. We
Yep.
don't need these bootleg masks that are outdated to like 2010. We need something that's effective, some N95 masks, some masks, that can just help us go out to stay out and get, sunshine for a long time. Because I'm telling you right now, I just got off the phone with my cousin, and she was just telling me that she's been already preparing for the second wave, because there will be a second wave coming, whether if people believe it or not. There's going to be a second wave.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people trying to say that the second wave was already happening. It's like, no, this is coming in June. Like, these reopen events are already starting. I mean, Alabama, we really only had one weekend of actual closed down, and then they stopped enforcing that shit in grocery stores. I didn't see anybody out with masks after the 23rd of April.
Yeah.
I'd start going out and not see anybody in a mask. Not just in the neighborhood, that's one thing. We're walking our dogs and stuff. That's fine, right? It's easy to keep 6 feet of distance, 50 feet of distance in a neighborhood, residential area. But when you go to the grocery store and you see nobody else in a mask, that shit is, nobody's taking it seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
seeing just explosion rates of people getting it. Georgia had 1,000 cases last weekend, Saturday. We had 300 confirmed new cases, and that's with almost zero testing. So yeah, that shit is wild, and I for sure appreciate you going out there and doing that, and the other 4 people. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're trying to be humble, but it's you and like nobody else physically putting their body out there to do that shit. So
Yeah. And I think another thing that helps me as well too is before the shit hit the fan,
yeah,
about 30 days ago, um, they were doing testings at different hospitals in the area.
yeah,
And during that time, it wasn't just swab through the nose. You could either do swab through the nose, or you could get drawn blood. So I drew blood,
yeah.
and I did come back negative.
Excellent.
So I think that's what motivates me. And then, I've been screened 3 times, and those screenings came back negative too.
Nice.
So if I do feel some type of way after being out in the sun for so long, see, I'm a war veteran. See, I already know how this is. Go to a cool shade, and if that doesn't help, get in your car, cut on the AC. If that doesn't help, then go home and just cut on the fan and just cool off. I know one day I was just like, for some reason, I was just like, wow, I was getting like migraines and stuff like that. So I went home and I made me some green tea. About an hour later, the pain was gone.
Got it. Hell yes.
So it's all about like Charles Darwin. It's survival of the fittest. You have to be fit in order to survive. And it's not just fit physically, but you got to make sure that you get the therapy for your mental state as well too. Because this wave, this coronavirus, is not taking a toll on the physicality. It's taking its toll on people's mental state.
Okay, right on. And yeah, the prevention is more physical, maintaining distance and stuff
Yeah,
like that, keeping yourself away
yeah,
from folks and just not getting
yeah,
subjected to it. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
or becoming complacent is the other thing.
Yeah, because like I can tell you right now, that's why a lot of these cases are increasing because people, like you're saying, they don't care. They're complacent. They have no masks. They have no gloves. I mean, and then like the people and the people who are complaining, reopen the economy. Okay, if you want to reopen the economy, why don't you exercise some protective measures? And not one of these activists have gloves or masks. But they got horses, they got weapons,
Yep.
and they even have children going out there without any protective gear, and it's just like mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like little kids, especially, they can become asymptomatic carriers. They can pick it up and then they take it to everybody that they're around. The kids thing is the scariest thing to me because the kid's not the one that's going to die of it. Likely, the kid is going to get it and then give it to everyone that they're around because little kids got no sense of hygiene. They're sneezing on people, you know.
yeah,
The people talking about opening schools back up because they hate seeing their kids at their house is like that's the gnarliest.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, and like I said, I'm all for the reopening the economy, but we need to have some adequate testing, and we need to have some effective protective gear. The second wave is not going to be no joke. If there's a second wave, then I bet you there's going to be a third wave. The
yeah,
reason why is
it'll go
because
till
our
2022 for sure. If they open it up and then there's a second wave, they're gonna have to close it again, and then they already know effectively how to force the government to reopen again, right? So
yeah,
then it won't just be a third, it'll be a fourth and a fifth and a sixth because they are actively able to demand things from the government. And the
yeah,
capitalists tell the government what to do. The government says, yes, sir, makes everybody go back to work. Ton of people die, and then they do it again and again and again. So,
yeah. It's
absolutely,
crazy.
yeah.
Wow. And good and well, if
Mm-hmm.
that would have been a group of black people out there, the government would have called not only just the local police department, they would have called the city neighbors police department. They would have called the state troopers, and most of all, they would
Yes,
have brought in heavy artillery. Yes.
big time, big time. Yeah, the government knows how to deal with black protesters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
They-
simple. I mean,
They're
hell,
they're
they've
great
been doing
about
that.
y'all.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I saw that obviously we have had our clinic, our women's health clinic, has maintained open through this entire thing as an essential health service. Hell yes, shouts out, good job. And they, up until how recently, had clinic escorts? Like when? Yeah, when did they stop having escorts show up?
I would say mid March. I would say the mid March. So it's been like over 30. It's been like over 30 days or a month now.
Okay, I don't know why I thought y'all were still out there like last week.
Uh-uh. No, we weren't out there last week. Like I said, our our leader has told us to like, hey, just stand down because of what's going on right now until further notice.
Nice. Okay.
Because our leader is immunocompromised.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and they don't want to take that chance.
Yes. 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 And it's pretty much impossible for y'all to be socially distant when there's only one door at the front and the seating area is pretty limited and all that. So I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Y'all staying safe. I like that. Um, well, hell yeah. But the clinic itself is still opened. Do you know anything about whether or not there are, clinic protesters showing up, or like during this?
Yes. The main protester, they have shown up. And of course, just like the reopen, like what you witnessed at the reopen rallies,
Right.
well, they don't exercise any safety measures at all. They disobey the 6 foot rule of social distancing. They don't wear masks or gloves. One protester had the audacity to bring his baby in a stroller.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and did that about 2 weeks ago. And he told our security guy that he's covered in the blood of Jesus. He doesn't need masks. So so it's just ignorance is bliss, yo. You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
And it's like, dude, like, but and and of course, I don't even have to say the color. You already know because you ain't gonna see no black man out there doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Talking about his baby
Nah,
being covered in the blood.
yeah.
Uh-uh.
And he said if something happens, he made his peace with his maker, something like that. So I'm like, these people are just rushing it. They're playing with life or death, and they're mainly playing with death. This
Well,
is
yeah,
real.
that's the thing. That was their normal MO anyway, right? They didn't give a fuck about women's health, and they definitely didn't give a fuck about those babies, right? Once they become babies, they don't give a fuck about them anyway. So
Yeah,
the whole thing was always about killing as many people as possible and
yeah,
doing it in a way that profits people. That's
yeah,
the whole reason for their anti-abortion or whatever they want to call it, pro-life, that kind of thing. That never was about life or safety or health. It was always an anti-health, anti-women's rights movement. You know,
yeah. Hmm.
so
Yeah,
yeah, it's wild. We shouldn't, and we shouldn't be surprised when they bring a baby out there during a pandemic because they don't give a fuck about babies.
yeah. They do. It's all about controlling women. It's
That's
all
right.
about controlling the bodily autonomy.
Right.
You know.
Because
And
the mother wasn't out there, wasn't it? It was like just the dude and a baby.
yeah,
Yeah,
mm,
exactly. They don't give a
yeah,
fuck about babies.
yeah.
They just want women at home.
Yeah, yeah, that old conservative tradition mentality. The woman stays in the kitchen and she's supposed to just stay in the kitchen, not go outside, and that's it. And we sit back and we talk and we giggle about this, but on a serious note, I mean, it's just it's shitty, man. It's a shitty way to live, and I'm glad because I do come from I guess you could say, so-called conservative family, but I'm glad that I surround myself with friends and family or connections that are not conservative. Because I told somebody the other day, conservatism is terrorism.
Hmm.
It increases homicide, it increases suicide, it increases other criminalizations out there. And
Absolutely.
and it also increases ignorance as well, as we see right now with this global epidemic going on. Yeah, so
Big time. Big time. For sure. Because when the violent arm of those types of wings of hegemonic oppression, whether it be misogyny, more indirect forms of capital oppression, racism, and stuff like that, are really like rubber meets the road. It usually isn't actually done by the state at all. It's being done by those individual conservative, that individual liberty type of people.
yeah. Hmm.
But one thing we were talking about earlier was the Ahmaud Arbery murder,
Yeah,
his murder, and like whether we call that a lynching or not. Um, it is a lynching, and the dude was an ex-cop. So I mean, do we think it matters that this guy was an ex-cop, or do we feel like he was just, you know, a non-state sanctioned type of white supremacist?
I think both. I really think both should matter,
Yeah.
especially the white supremacists. It's time for it's not it's not only time for the Deep South, but it's time for America as a whole to stop bullshitting and call a spade a spade.
Right.
Any white cop who thinks that they're justified in killing an unarmed innocent black person or a person of color in that matter, I don't call them Ku Klux Klan. I call them the Blue Klux Klan because they dress up, they hide behind badges, and in the daytime, you know, they swear up and down, "Oh, I'm going to protect and serve." Like in the daytime, they wear these blue hats, but at night they wear white sheets.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So this dude, I think, from what I understand, he was a retired cop, or some kind of off duty, because it's in the middle of the day, and him and three dudes, like it was three people, so him and two other dudes, his son and somebody else unnamed in most of the articles I've seen, saw a man jogging after getting burglary reports in the neighborhood, and then they chased him down in a truck and confronted him, and then he ran away, and then they killed him.
Yep.
And then, so the original police report called it a self-defense because they all corroborated each other's story that he hit them first or something like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, because this is there is no controversy as to what happened. Like, there's video footage of them chasing him down, starting the fight with him, and then the person that was filming missed the rest of the fight, or they haven't released it, one or the other. And they definitely, chased him down and murdered him. So it should be pretty uncontroversial that this was murder. It's going to be interesting to see, though, those culturally conservative people, right? Those people that are trying to vocally uphold white supremacy, or at least keep it subtle, like make us use subtle language about it, right? They're going to language police us when we call it lynching or murder. They're going to say, well, it was this or that. It's going to be really interesting with this one because it is uncontroversial that it was just straight murder, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm just glad that, and I totally agree with all that what you just said about that. I'm just glad that police brutality, period, is getting the footage that it's rightfully deserved compared to it being hidden decades and decades. Because back in the day, there was none of this advanced technology. But now what you're seeing is advanced technology being very advanced in exposing what we truly know is going on. This black man, innocent black man, was minding his own damn business, jogging, and he was chased like he was Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And then, next thing it just happened. Like the execution. I'm not going to call it justified. I'm going to call that shit like it is. The execution happened. He was lynched.
Yeah.
Police brutality is the remix of lynching.
Yep.
Really is. And you don't even need a rope to be, lynched. You can be, all you need, somebody, a white cop you need is a baton, taser, gun, feet, hand, and most of all, falsify information.
Right.
Because as I've read the story, I haven't done really research in it as if it was like Michael Brown or Trayvon Martin, but as I read the story and I kept reading different articles, I'm like, these cops are bullshit. They're so full of shit that even when I looked at their photos, I swear that their faces were turning brown compared to white because they were so full of shit. And you have to think about this. We have to just stop bullshitting and just call it like it is. This was white supremacy at its finest. And we have ignorant, and Lord forbid, God, it happened in Georgia. You see what Brian Kemp has done, back to the reopening. He thinks that, oh, this is a religious state, and what he does not realize, or what any of these governors in these red states don't realize, when you reopen up your economy, you are reopening up police brutality. You're going to reopen up homelessness because you kicked the homeless people out. You know, the landlords did. Now they can't go back to their homes because look, they're poor. And most of all, you're just going to reopen a can of bullshit and a lot of social issues. So
Absolutely. So like, and that's one of the other things with the calls to reopen are always going to be from people that really enjoyed it the way it was. They want the new normal to be exactly like the old normal, where they can oppress people, take their, their, whether it be their surplus value or the money that they pay for rent or whatever, right? So they're going to definitely want reopen to be as much like the old way as possible.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that one sucks a lot too, because it's like, was there even like reports of this guy? I mean, I'll put a link to this is for the audience more than for you, because I think you've already heard it, but I'm going to put a link in the description to a SoundCloud of the Citations Needed podcast episode about the surveillance at home state, the like industry that tells people to be scared about their house getting robbed all the time, and how that links together with next door and increased murders of Black and brown bodies. It's got a lot of good information in it. I don't know if you've already listened to it or not, but either way, I'm putting it in the description because it's real prescient in the case of this murder, where whether we believe the white men's stories or not, their story even should not be justification for murder, because they're scared about a burglary, and that's not a violent crime. There's no violent burglary. He wasn't burglarizing. We should say up front, he didn't do anything wrong. He was a jogger. But they said there were reports of a burglary, and even if there are, that is not, and even if you're a cop, the guy's not a cop, he's not on duty at the time. So again, even then, even if he was a cop, that's not a murderable charge. It's not a violent crime. So like, if someone came to my door trying to burgle my house and they're not in my house yet and they're not threatening me with physical violence, I don't have the right to kill them until they are in my house and I have credible threat of violence. So that's not how self-defense works. So, but anyway, I'm gonna put links to that one in the description on this one for sure, because it's got a lot of great information. Yeah, man, it's a bummer of a fucking time. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is. If it's not one thing, it's another. It's like the other day I was telling my cousin, she's in the northern part of our state. And I was telling her, I was like, my heart goes out to you because she works as she's one of the administrators for a healthcare system. She's not the surgeon, you know what I'm saying, but she does the paperwork.
Right.
And they told her that she had to come back in. So she did come back in. She had her gloves and mask on, and she just said that it was just this eerie feeling that came over her when she came back in, because it was like, wow, this specific medical facility used to be like boom, 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 very busy. Now it's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
She was like, she enjoyed the piece. She loved the piece. She got a lot of done, but it was just like, she was like, it was just a surreal feel.
Yeah.
And it's a time of times right now, dude. I mean, it really is. Whenever I do go re-up on my groceries, I'm just like, there's not even no engagement. Everybody's just like walking around like they're lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time, I always smile, and I have to tell myself this, but it's true. I was like, what the fuck is this? Is this The Walking Dead or something? Because everybody is just like moving like zombified, like Resident Evil.
Yeah. And there's not like it's especially weird. Like when I first started wearing the mask in like mid or early March, I started wearing a mask when I went out. But people would look at you back then. It was like they just looked at you like, why are you wearing, like kind of weird. But then by early April, people would start looking at you like you were a communist. Like you,
Yeah.
I mean, I am a communist, but like they would look at me like I had a big like hammer and sickle on my chest and like, you know, or I'm carrying around like a bloody Trump head or something. I don't know what they think is bad, but like they're looking at me like I'm out of my mind just because I've got like a fucking bandana on, you know, at the Piggly Wiggly. And
Yeah.
no, yeah, it was crazy. Like nobody's wearing masks. But then normally, you know, we get a lot of, you know, social interaction in public, not necessarily, I mean, in the South especially, it's not like, hey, how you doing? Stop and chats, right? But we make eye contact, right? In public, we say howdy, you know, right?
Yeah.
We wave. We're very social in the South, whether, you know, in little ways. And that's gone. Everybody just eyes front, be quiet, grab your shit, get the fuck out. Like
Yeah.
that part is fucking wild, man. You're right. It is. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. But man, yeah, what have you been doing for fun in this thing? Like, how are you trying to like keep your mind, keep your joy, you know?
Well, I'm still having my counseling appointments, because, of my trauma. I am a trauma survivor, war veteran trauma survivor. So thank God that that hasn't stopped. Instead of face-to-face conversations, I'm doing my therapy sessions, either my counseling sessions, either over Zoom or over the telephone.
Nice.
Um, that's working out pretty well. Um, I've been just trying to I just been trying to stay. I'm gonna be real with you, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's during tragedy you find out who's who.
Yeah.
Within the month of April, and I hated to do this, but sometimes you gotta save yourself before you try to save other people. You can't keep yourself, don't set yourself on fire so you can keep other people warm. That doesn't fly. So what I had to do, I had to delete a lot of people from my timeline, including within my lifetime as well too.
Yeah.
Some of them are people that I was friends with over 2 years,
Mm.
because, like I said, it's during the tragedy. I realize now, and I realize that everybody who's on the same side as you is not going to ride for you.
Mm.
You have to really find out who your true friends are. And I think in this situation, in this tragedy, I'm finding out who my true friends are. So another fun thing I've been doing is reconnecting with people that are true to me, that encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing during this forsaken time in our country's history. Um, Another thing I'm doing that's fun is I'm doing a lot of reading, and I've been doing a lot of poetry. I've gotten back into writing poetry and writing down my feelings and stuff like that. I've also been passing out water and Gatorade to the homeless people in the downtown area. As you witnessed, the homeless population has increased, because unlike California, our wonderful state thinks that you still have to pay rent. Our state house has representatives, especially Republicans, who think that it's a bad ideal to serve the homeless, but they want to include religion, and that can't happen.
Right.
So I've been giving out water, cold water, Gatorade to the homeless people through the downtown area. Of course, I wear gloves and masks, and I do go to different parts of Montgomery near the downtown area, that are in dire need of Gatorade. So those are some of the things I've been doing, and I'm still walking. I go to the downtown area and I do walk.
Yeah.
But of course, once again, I still have my mask, I still have my gloves on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't been walking that much longer because I want to still be safe. But I do average, and when I do walk, I average about 2 to 3 miles.
Right on. Right on. Yeah. About 3 miles a day. Get it in, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And,
Just be out there.
yeah. And I've also lost a little bit of weight too.
Oh, really? You've been getting quarantine?
Yeah, quarantine. Yeah, trying to bring sexy back.
Hell yeah. I've been on a bulk cycle during quarantine. I started a little bit of quarantine creatine.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna put on about 6 pounds of lean muscle so far.
Yeah.
My split grip chins are up to 40.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
hell yeah.
But I will say this though, I will be lying to you if I didn't tell you that the but my mental health has been taking a beating. It's been a struggle. It's been some days are up, some days are downs, and some days it's just like up and down or in the middle. So it's been pretty difficult, man.
Yeah.
It's been difficult, but I'm doing my best to maintain and survive and thrive as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, being able to recognize it is powerful. Just knowing when when it's good, when it's bad, whatever, instead of just like barrel through and say, hey, I'm fine, you know.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, dude. And hey, if you ever need anything, holler at me.
Oh,
I'm especially down to listen. So
oh yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, you are an active listener at that. I mean, the things that you represent. Hey, you can't have no choice but to actively listen. So
that's right. That's right. Hey man, let's at least let's pause for a second, decide if we want to finish up.
okay.
Yeah, we'll pause for 2 seconds. All right, yeah, man, I got me a whiskey and ginger ale. I'm fucking it up like I'm on an airplane.
Delta.
Yeah, man, we fly Delta down here in the South.
I know. Oh man.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Yeah, man. I don't know what it is about this quarantine. I've been living like I'm middle seat in an airplane. Like I'm just like
Yeah.
fucking up ginger ale. I'm like, I don't drink ginger ale on the ground normally. I just drink ginger ale with whiskey in an airplane.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like we're all stuck in an airplane all the time.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like my homegirl was telling me, she was like, she usually doesn't drink. Like she's a big Moscato fan.
Yeah.
And she told me that I usually don't drink Moscato that much, but she was like, due to me working at home now, it's like almost every day is like a Friday. And I
Yeah.
said, well, I can understand, but I said, my thing is this: as long as you in the privacy of your home and not giving these cops any inch of reasoning to pull you over, then you're good. She's a black woman.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I told her because with this social distancing now, and with these like stay at home or stay safe orders, those are like kind of like ways that the white cops especially are looking for reasons to pull over people of color.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I told her, you just got to look at that whole picture. I'm like, it's good to go out with your friends. Like the stay-at-home order didn't say you can't go out. It just says you need to go out and you need to exercise safe social distancing.
Right.
You can
Right.
have people over at your house, but it needs to be at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Less.
Depends on the house size. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it can't be like a ton of, yeah, exactly.
So I just basically told her, I was like, man, and that's the same with me. Like every time I go out, I have to look at the whole picture. That's why whenever I like to turn up and stuff like that, I go to the store, I get my brew, and I bring it back to the crib, and I'm on chill mode.
That's right.
Sit back, watch some Netflix, YouTube videos, listen to some jazz, Motown, Smokey Robinson, Led Zeppelin,
Hell yeah.
Janis Joplin. Oh yeah, all that, man.
You like that big kick drum era of music.
Yeah.
Everybody had the big tall kick drums.
I know, and hell, sometimes I even listen to like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King videos.
Yeah, we were. You sent me that April 12th, 1967. That's one of my favorites. The Ballad of the Bullet. Hell yeah, I love Ballad.
He spoke his man. That dude went hard. He did not give a damn.
He wasn't scared of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's pretty much how I've been doing it. I've been working on a couple recording projects and some other stuff. Trying to just get in a different headspace than I could with go to like where you have that routine. Let yourself get bored, or you let yourself get focused on things that are, I don't know, mundane or outside of yourself. So it's been really interesting to just vacillate between those two, the outer world with news, You know, and with doing this, trying to get, this is your episode 11 in like 14 days. So like,
Wow.
yeah, I'm trying to do one a day, talk to somebody, you know, get on the record about something.
Have you talked to any of our mutual connections?
You know, Will on
Yeah.
Control,
Will.
you know, Tyler. I
Yeah.
haven't had Nelson on yet, but when I want to talk to somebody about how the CIA is hurting people, I'll ask him what he's doing.
Yeah. he is an expert in that field for sure.
Yeah.
You know, mad props to him. You know what I'm saying? Mad love and respect to him. Yeah.
That's kind of an inside joke to him. My wife, when we first met him, or when I first met him, I had like a vibe, and I told her kind of like the vibe I got from him, and I was just expressing, I guess, an inexpressible unease, and basically, I thought he was a cop,
Yeah.
and so then I let her listen to his music, right, and then she was like, "He's definitely a cop." But it turns out she didn't actually think he was a cop. She just didn't like his music and didn't want me to play on his record or hang out with him. So she was like, just don't hang out. But she couldn't say don't hang out with him because we don't have, you know, we don't do that to each other.
Yeah.
You know, but we can scare each other away from people by saying they're in the CIA.
Yeah. It's pretty clever, man.
So I'm learning about women. I'm slowly learning about women.
Yeah. Hey, that's right. Real man stand up for women empowerment, man.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's shit. She's more empowered than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good to have those couples. It's good to be in those relationships that iron sharpens iron. You got to have that.
That's
Especially
right.
nowadays with all the, you know, bullshit that's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? Some people know each other for 6 months and they don't survive the relationship for 6 months. Hell, they don't even survive the relationship for 6 weeks. And then next thing you know, boom, they're gone.
Right.
You know,
Right.
You know, they split up. So I believe in, you know, it's all about respect though. You know.
Yeah, we were real. I don't know if it's. I always say like we were really lucky, or we are really lucky ongoingly, but we figured it out real fast. Within like 3 or 4 months, we recognized that we had, yeah, we both had that ability to just see each other's lived experience, like just to, you know, to respect where each other were coming from in a more mutual way. And it definitely wasn't like, you know, breadwinner and slave, like domestic slave, you know, that kind of thing on either tip. We just recognized each other as people that were struggling to do cool shit. And, you know, so that's fucking 10 years, almost, I guess it'll be 9 years in October of this year. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
We're just luck. It's just luck though, really.
Yeah.
But it's also recognizing like what you need to see in a person and what they need to see in you. And
yeah,
like you said, iron sharpens iron. If you're not making each other better, you're making each other worse.
Yeah, and it's all about also, you know, recognizing not just each other's cons, but recognizing each other's pros and encouraging each other to use, you know, just encourage each other to use those pros to overcome your cons. Because a lot of people, man, they get in these relationships and it's always like complaining. Well, you're doing this bad, you're doing this way or that way, but there's no room for encouragement, or they don't want to make a room for encouragement. Yeah.
Yep. So that's right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same with my friendships as well too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Just like it is exactly like the way when it first hit me, I said, you know, when it first hit me, like why this worked, I said that a marriage is supposed to be communism for two people.
Yeah.
And your friendships should be exactly like that. Like if you're, you know, if you're having to side eye everybody and wonder if they're gonna stab you in the back or like, you know, fuck you over or take too much rice, they're not really your friends. And
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying earlier, get them off the timeline, get them off the lifeline, get them,
Yeah.
like fuck them, get them out of your life, don't fuck with them. So
Yeah.
invest your time in people that need your not only need you, but you need them, and respect each other, etc., etc. Yeah, man. Hey, let's do this again sometime for sure. When something sad's not in the news, let's talk about some happy shit next time, man.
Well, we were talking about happy shit, while we're talking about the bad shit.
Well,
But,
we were goofing off with it too, but like, we were having fun, but we were talking about some depressing ass shit. But yeah, I'll have you on. We'll just goof off about whatever. We'll talk. Hey, shit, we'll talk about mental health. Talk about post trauma.
yeah,
Mental health care for sure is one that I haven't had a good episode with anybody on that yet. So we'll put that in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely down for that topic. I think it's very important, especially now with the coronavirus epidemic. I think it's very important. I talked to one of my best friends yesterday. She's in Birmingham, and she's having a hard time. And then I talked to my veterans still, and they're having difficulties as well too. The flashbacks and nightmares. And I, put me on that episode, and I'll flame it out. I don't mind being real, you know what I'm saying? Because it took me 10 years to be where I'm at now mentally, but I still have my struggles, but I don't mind talking about them, because I feel like if I could talk about my struggles, then somebody else can feel comfortable talking about their struggles, because you got to talk about it. You can't just put it in, because it'll eat you up like cancer.
Absolutely. That's why I'm glad I had you on. You're you're open, you're not scared, you're truthful, you're going to say what you're going to say, and you're doing it for the right reasons. I appreciate you, Travis Jackson, Montgomery, Alabama. Absolutely. I'm going to throw an article about you in the show notes, as well as that citations needed episode that I mentioned earlier about the neighborhood watch panic, and how it kills Black and brown people. And that also does pertain to what we were talking about when we weren't even recording, about the war on drugs being what it is. So this is John Mouse's Cop Killer. Oop, it's muted. Cop Killer.